welcome back. It has been a while since the video's been out. I apologize for that. So I started my summer work this not last week but the week before. We just started like last day on Friday and then worked all last week, and this is the second full week of work. And it's 40 hours. I start at 6, go to 2:30, 5 days a week, etc., etc. Do my thing. So obviously I have to go to bed a lot earlier than I used to, and I just have a lot less time in general. But the other big thing is I also am taking a summer class this year. So that started last week. Yep, exactly a week ago, and it ends not next Friday. Yeah, so the Friday after this one, it ends. So it's a legit class, and you got to wrap 3 credits into it. So long story short, it is a lot of work for these couple weeks. So I've been pretty jammed up. That's why you haven't seen many uploads. Plus, it actually works out well with like the downtime of Overwatch League right now. So, like I said, I have a lot of stuff planned. Hopefully, I get my recording stuff back soon, because then I'll be able to put a lot of this stuff into fruition. I have a couple of exciting things. But for now, we're going to be still focusing on Overwatch League. I'm going to talk about playoffs, like format and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into predictions yet. I'm just going to talk about like the maps and the format and everything like that, and what I think about it. So I just wanted to do a video. I'm pretty freaking tired. Had a long day, so if I seem like jittery or weird a little bit, that is why. I'll probably be going to bed very shortly after this is over. So yeah, we're gonna hop right in, and as you can see, they haven't, for the schedule, they have not updated it yet. But anyway, so we know our 6 teams. We know that New York Excelsior is number 1, Los Angeles Valiant number 2. They are both getting a first round bye, and then after the first round is over, New York will play the lower seed, no matter who it is, whether it's number 6, number 5, or number 4, and then the Valiant will play higher seed, whether it's the 3, the 4, or the 5. So, depending on how the matchups go. So, don't have to talk about them too much. And then, obviously, we have our 3 versus 6 matchup, which is the Boston Uprising taking on the Philadelphia Fusion, and then the 4 seed, Los Angeles Gladiators taking on the 5 seed, London Spitfire. So, like I said, we're not going to talk about the matchups themselves. We're not going to do our predictions. I think that doing the predictions for them is going to be so freaking hard, because the first thing to know about the playoffs is new patch. There is a new patch out. So we might see some shifts in comp. New Hanzo's out. A lot of people, new Hanzo, if you don't know, is dominating the, in Season 10, I should say. Season 10 wraps up tomorrow. He has dominated playtime for DPS heroes. It's basically him. There's a lot of Widow still. There's a lot of Junkrat, stuff like that. But if you look at like the top 50 players, a lot of the DPS players ranked up there are going to be Hanzo players. So will we see a lot more Hanzo play? I mean, we actually saw a decent amount of him when teams were running the double snipers for stage 4. So he's even better now. So are we going to see more Hanzo? It's entirely possible. It's so interesting to me that they put a new patch out, just like for the playoffs essentially. So we shall see how that goes. That's why it's super hard to predict. I mean, how can you predict when you haven't seen either of these teams play on the patch? There aren't any other like major changes, so maybe we'll just see the same comps being played, but that is one thing to consider. So the quarterfinals, the matchups between 3-6 and 4-5, they start on July 11th, and then they're on the 11th, the 13th, and the 14th. The teams play more matches, obviously, because it's the playoffs, so you don't want to just have one set best first to 3. That's not the most accurate like barometer, I guess, for which team is better. So what are the maps? That's the next thing. Talk about the patch a little bit, what the matchups are. The other important thing is the patch. Or not the patch, the maps. We just talked about the patch. The one last thing to talk about for the patch is that Symmetra, new Symmetra, will not be available to be played because, I mean, Hanzo got reworked, but Symmetra got like reworked like big. So he will not be there. Lucio's small changes will be available. That's not going to be a big deal. And like I said, Hanzo. So those are the last things to note about that. So the maps, they basically like picked them. They did kind of like a lottery style. So for the playoffs, remember, because it's instead of it being 4 matches, it's best of 5. So if a team goes up 3-0, they don't have to play the 4th match. And so that if it goes 2-2, then obviously you need a tiebreak. So with that, there are 5 maps and then the tiebreaker instead of 4 maps and the tiebreaker. That's a very important thing to remember. So, and this also is an advantage for some teams and a disadvantage for others. So for escorts, there's Dorado, which we saw in Stage 4, and then Junkertown, which we most recently saw in Stage 3? It was in 1, and then I think it was in 3 as well. Yeah, because 4 was watch point. It had to be 3. So, we're going to see these. They've been playing on decently recently, so those, I don't see the playstyle change like too drastically. It'll be interesting to see what they do for Junkertown, though, because teams did run double sniper on that, even when double sniper wasn't a thing, and now double sniper is a lot more prominent, so we might see that a bit more in action. For Control, it's Oasis, which we've seen a lot because it was a tiebreaker in Stage 3, and it seemed like every match that stage went to 5. So it's back to Oasis, lots of Pharah there. Tanks on University, you got like that more tanky combo with the Junkrat / Pharah, and then the other ones, it's a bit more varied. I'm starting to see Rissa on those. So I don't mind Oasis. I don't love playing on it too much, but you get to see some pretty decent stuff, like comp-wise. Teams that have better Pharaohs will have an advantage here, so looking at probably the LA teams, when you got Hydration and when you got Agilities, they're both insane on the Pharah. Next, it is Hybrids. So, Hybrids is interesting. We have another returner from Stage 4 in King's Row, so I'm excited for that. Really, I love King's Row. And then Eichenwald is the other one. And I feel like we haven't seen Eichenwald since... It was Stage 1 the last time we saw it? I think it was. We have not seen Eichenwald in a while. So, teams are going to have to adjust on that one. They're probably going to put a lot of time into strategizing for that map in particular because they're not really going to have their set strategies for it. And those are the hybrids. I'm excited for those. I always like the hybrid maps. I think, honestly, they might be like they're not my favorite game type in the game, but they're probably the best. Just like the way that they're put together and just the way that they play is probably the best. Escorts can be really annoying and frustrating, especially if you're defending and you start getting rolled. 2 CPs just suck. And Control is nice, but it's a bit simple. So, anyway, to the assault maps. 2 CP. Going into these, for me, it's like I kind of hate them all. But I think that honestly, these 2 are like the best that I could hope for. Or at least the first one. Volskaya Industries is back. Volskaya was in Stage 3. It was not in Stage 4. So we're going to see the return of Volskaya. I think it was in Stage 2 as well. It was 2 and 3, if I remember correctly. And then Hanamura is making its return once again. So we have Volskaya, a map that teams can generally get some good attacks on there. And then you got Hanamura, which sometimes you see teams bang their heads for 5 or 6 minutes. But this is just the playoff teams, so we should be seeing close matches, hopefully either way. And then the tiebreaker, with the best of 5 format, it's a little less likely that a tiebreaker will occur, but it can still happen, like if they go 2-2 and then they tie on the assault map. Then there you go. You're going to tiebreaker, and it is Nepal. So, like I said, the order is you play Escort first, then you play Control, then you play Hybrid, then it's Assault, then you play Escort again, and then if you do happen to tie in a match and split the other two, and it's 2-2, then you will play on Control, which would be, like I just said, Nepal. So this format is the same format that they used for the stage playoffs, and I don't like the format, but that's because Escort is my team, the Gladiators. It's their weakest game mode, easily. You saw it all season. Their win percentage was consistently lower on that. They just struggled to attack on those. They struggled to find their footing. Oftentimes when they'd lose the first point, they would often get rolled onto second point before then finally mounting a defense. So for me, it's unfortunate. For the Gladiators as a team, it's unfortunate. They're going to have to really try to work some magic and come up with something special for the Escort maps, because what they have done, I mean, the whole season has not worked. So that's going to be interesting to see. So the teams that are better at Escorts, I'd say probably New York's good at everything. I mean, they don't really have like a one that they're like way better at. Boston is definitely best at Assault, the 2CP maps. Honestly, probably like Valiant and or Philly are going to have the biggest advantage when we talk about that, because Escort have generally gone well for them. They can snowball pretty easily. So we will see how that develops. But for the most part, I don't think the map pool is huge for one team, like good or bad. For Boston, I'm sure was very happy to see Volskaya back, because they are extremely good at that map. I think they've never lost on it, I want to say. Yeah, because in the Stage 3 playoffs, they tied New York on it. But otherwise, they're like 9-0 or 10-0. So they've been extremely good on that map. And that's going to bode well for them. Although I think that they're still going to be in trouble against Philly. But that's for another video. On to the map picks. So, I just listed off all the options and the order for the maps. But how are they going to decide which map gets played? Will it be Dorado or will it be Junkertown? So this is how it's going to work. For the first two matches, it's going to be pre-assigned. And the higher seed will defend first when it's applicable, so for anything except Control. But if one team wins the first match, so if they win, say, 3-1, and then the other team comes back and they win 3-0, they're going to a tiebreaker. For match 3, for Escort, which will be the first one, of course, the higher seed gets to pick the map. They get to choose their best Escort map to go at it, and then the loser will get to pick their side. So they'll get to pick whether they attack first or defend first. And then for Control, the losing team picks the map. And that is how it goes throughout. So the losing team for Escort picks Control. Then the losing team for Control picks Hybrid. If necessary, the losing team picks Assault. And if necessary, the losing team picks Escort. So the loser gets to pick the map. So it's gonna, I think that all that does is really increases the likelihood of like the teams flip back and forth, like one team wins, then the other team wins, then the other team wins, etc., which makes it closer. So I like that format. And of course, the winning team picks their side. They get to pick whether they start or end, or if they attack or defend first. So I like that format. I think that's good, but remember, that only occurs if there's a third match, because the teams play best of 5 matches, and first to win 2 matches wins. That makes sense? So if I'm going to do teams that aren't even in the playoffs. If the Florida Mayhem are in the playoffs and they're playing the Houston Outlaws, and Houston wins 3-0 and then 3-1, then it's over. They don't go to 3. But if like Florida wins 3-0 and then Houston wins 3-2, then they will go to a match 3, and that's when the teams will pick the maps. Otherwise, they will be pre-assigned. So I think that's a nice little, they call it like a fun little wrinkle on the site. I agree with that. I think that that's a good way to kind of spice it up a little bit. So that's how the map picks will work. In terms of the schedule itself, This might be honestly the last thing that I do with this. It is, like I said, the first team to win 2 best-of-5 matches. They will advance and then go on to play in the semifinals. The schedule itself. So I said they start on the 11th. That is a Wednesday. That's 2 Wednesdays from this one. Man, that's so far away. I just want it to start already. But I guess it's good. It starts when my class is over, so I can focus on that. But anyway, so both teams will play, or both matchups will play on Wednesday. And let's see, it's going to go, the order will be on Wednesday, July 11th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that'll be 7 p.m. Central, 6 Eastern. Or wait, 8 Eastern. Yeah, it's 8 Eastern. 8 Eastern Time, 7 Central Time, 5 Pacific. It's going to be Boston versus Philadelphia. They are first. And then immediately following their match, Gladiators and Spitfire will play. And then on Friday, Uprising and Fusion will finish their series. So if they need 2 matches, they'll play 2 more matches. If they only need 1, they will play 1. And then on Saturday, Spitfire and Gladiators will finish their matchup. And 2 teams will then be eliminated and we'll be down to 4. And then they don't say what they're doing. I don't think they know yet for the semifinals. Yeah, no, the semifinals work the exact same way. So they'll start on July the 18th, and then they'll finish on the 20th, and then the other series will finish on the 21st. And then the grand finals will be a whole week after that. They'll be July 27th and 28th, which would be a Saturday, Sunday. Obviously, they're going to want to do Saturday, Sunday, so the most people can watch. Or no, it's going to be Friday, Saturday. Sorry. Friday night and then Saturday, which makes sense. And yeah, they'll decide it in the grand finals. It'll work the exact same way as the others. They got to win 2 best-of-5 matches. So I like this format. Maybe I would say for the grand finals, you make it a little longer. But if you drag it on to best of 7, maybe it just gets to be long and tedious. But I think you do want to have a good sample size to really determine who the best team really is. So overall, I really like this playoffs. Hopefully it goes over well. They're going to be played in the Barclays Center. Or at least the grand finals will be. So that's going to be really cool. In Brooklyn, of course. But the quarterfinals and the semifinals are in LA still. Just so you guys know. So they're still in. Oh man, wouldn't that be awesome if Gladiators and Valiant got one more? They like say Gladiators win and then the Fusion would have to win. Then Gladiators would play the Gladiators would play the Valiant and the Fusion would play the Excel. So it would be like potentially the very last match that gets played. The very last match that gets played in the center this season could potentially be between the 2 LA teams. That would be nuts. Valiant would probably win based on the history, but that's besides the point. So I hope that gives you a better sense of like what the playoffs are going to be, what to expect going in. I'd say it's a little confusing, but it's not too bad. Hopefully I did a good job explaining to you guys. I hope you guys are excited for it. And probably they start on the 11th, so I'll probably in a week or maybe 2. At the very latest, it'll probably be like the Monday before the matches start, so probably like the 9th at latest, if not like next week on the 2nd. I'll do my predictions, and I'll probably do like each matchup as a separate video. So I'll do a video about Philly versus Boston, and then I will do a video about LA and London. And if I have my Elgato and whatnot back and I figure out how to set it up properly, I will also be like showing clips demonstrating why why I think this team has an advantage here, or all that kind of stuff, explaining plays and what players will be the keys in each matchup, and a bunch of fun stuff like that. So hopefully you guys are excited for that. I guess I say stay patient with the uploads. There's not going to be many. So just realize that it is a very busy time for me right now. So hope you guys stick around. I hope you guys are excited for Overwatch League. It's the playoffs. This is it. This is what they played all 40 matches for. And I hope you guys have a great couple days, or even week if I don't see you until then. Later.